Hey guys, it is already April. I have no idea how, and I guess I will keep saying that during the whole year. But it's time to talk about all 6 books I have finished in March. 6. That's a lot. But first, let's work on the cover page. I was so excited when Sibyllin Mainnet finally had a shop update in March, so I, of course, rushed and got some of her stickers. This butterfly girl sticker sheet was one of my favorites, so I, of course, wanted to use it as soon as possible, and reading journal update felt like a perfect opportunity to do that. And in my last journal vlog, I showed you a mini stationery haul from the Wild Pencil, where I got these cute pink and red both stickers, and it's like these 2 sticker sheets were meant for each other. As a background, there are many different papers and tags and a frame, and I unintentionally put them on the page diagonally, and I should do that more often because it looks so good. There is also this window sticker I was so excited to use here. It may look a bit off, a bit too dark here, but it actually matches with the girl's wings, which I am not sure you can see because they have this interesting metallic finish and they are very shiny, but when the light does not hit them directly, they are almost the same color as this window. I also put this darker paper in the bottom right just to not have the whole background too pale and uninteresting. There could be maybe something darker in the top left corner as well. I do like symmetry, but I went against all my internal and controlling thoughts and said no. And while the cover page might have looked more symmetrical with the darker piece on top, I really like how it looks now, and I love how the girl is such a pop of color on an otherwise maybe uninteresting background. One thing I was not able to fight against was my inability to have a big space left blank on the page. But instead of filling the page completely, I put this white net or whatever in the top right corner and a pretty bow on top, and it was enough to make me go, okay, I don't need to add more here. And the bows, oh man, they are so cute. So they will end up everywhere around the page. I also printed the March title and I tried to color match it to the girl, which I was kind of successful with, maybe if it was slightly more red, but it still looks good. And yes, I almost left the bottom left corner blank, but I could not, guys. I just could not. So I put the teeny tiny bow in there and it was enough to make me satisfied. I enjoyed doing collages more and more, and while they do not always look good, I am very happy with this page. On the next page there is my reading calendar. This is a place where I log days I read my books during the month, and I learned my lesson from last month and made it slightly narrower. It is only 3 squares wide and 5 squares tall, and this way there is a space for me to write down all the books I have read during March on the right side. It is not really necessary, but it is easy and convenient to look at the list of books there instead of trying to find something in all those calendars. I brought some of the stationery or ephemera from the cover page in here as well. The book page, the mesh thingy and the bow. And in the corner I put this arch with flowers because I found it in my stash and I liked it. For the calendar itself, I was at first thinking about using pink or red number stickers, so that's why I pulled all of those out of my mini sticker folder. But then I figured it might be too loud to use both colorful numbers and colorful markers, so I went with these almost white number stickers and I chose pink, red and orange markers to fill the calendar in. Now let's talk about all books I have finished in March, and we need to actually flip back in the journal because there is 1 page left blank and I really don't want to waste it because I feel like I won't have enough space for the whole year in this journal anyway. So the first book I finished was The Rise of Empire. It contains books 3 and 4 in the RyeMi Revelations series. I started this book at the end of February, right after I finished the first 2 books of this series, and it already feels like I read it so long ago. And because I read all of those books back to back, I am kind of confused what happened in which one, which led me to take a break in this series. I like Michael J. Sullivan's books, but this was just way too much at once. But of course, I plan on listening to the rest of the series, maybe in May or June. This story is about 2 thieves who happen to be framed for a murder of a king, and they find themselves locked in a cell ready to be hanged the next day, which launches a set of events, and the story goes from there. There is magic, adventure, swords, mystery, all good stuff. There was not that much I had to say about this book, so the bottom half of the page is for another book, and here we go from this old fantasy setting to future in the space with For We Are Many by Dennis E. Taylor. It is a sequel to We Are Legion in a series called Bobbyverse, and I read the first book a year or so ago, so I was slightly afraid I won't remember much. I was in this weird headspace, not really knowing what to read next. Neither had I any desire to pick from my shelf, so I decided to give this sequel a go, and it was a good time. I forgot how much fun I had with this series, and despite me not getting probably like 90% of references to our real world, I did not really mind. It is about a nerd engineer turned AI. He was literally walking away from convention. I think it was a sci-fi convention when stuff happened and then he was turned into AI. And don't get me wrong, I love conventions. I used to attend anime and K-pop conventions when I was in university, and we even had our own panel for K-pop quizzes for a few years. Anyway, Bob, that's our main character, is trying to save humanity by exploring universe and finding new planet for humans by copying himself into new entities, and each of those evolves into slightly different person or personality, and it was really interesting to see that happen. This book was maybe quite similar to the previous one, but by the end of it we got introduced to maybe new, let's say, options for Bob or Bobs. I had no idea how to decorate this section, but then I found this small computer sticker with plants around, and it was just perfect. Now let's flip over our cover page so we can make a page for lessons in chemistry. It is one of the books I hope to read for a long time, and I finally did it, and it was okay. It is a story of Elizabeth Zott, chemist, woman, mother, and a star of beloved TV cooking show during 60s. She is incredibly smart and brilliant, but cold and without emotions, because of course she is. It is as if scientists are not real humans and can't have feelings or something, except that one man with whom her chemistry just worked, and she became immediately smitten by, and whose chapters I found uninteresting. Oh, and she was, of course, socially awkward. Okay, I can relate to that. And she was also awfully clueless. This book is advertised as funny, but there are a few graphic and triggering scenes right at the beginning, and I did not catch any trigger warnings. I do not mind these scenes, but there are many people who do, and certainly don't expect it in a book labeled funny with a dazzling cast of supporting characters. Where everybody was generalized, all men except one, of course, were misogynists and thieves. Every woman except our main character was not the brightest. Oh, there was a dog, and the paragraphs were from dog's perspective. It was weird, but I kind of liked it. I might seem harsh with this review, but there were just so many issues with this book, and not only once author was trying to draw attention to. I totally understand where the author was coming from and what she was trying to say, but I was just not a fan of the way she portrayed it. Still, it was a good read and I appreciate it being written. There is also a movie or a series based on this book, I think, and I'd like to watch it someday. And guys, I got really excited to decorate this page because I have perfect chemist and cook stickers in this Womanhood sticker book by Isabella, and I was so eager to finally use them. Next, I finish Onyx Storm, and I am not going to dedicate too much of a space on the page for this. It actually took me 3 attempts to write a review for Onyx Storm because I did not know what to even say about this book. It was definitely better than Iron Frame in story, not much in writing. I had to, as with previous books, reread multiple sentences or even paragraphs to figure out what the author meant sometimes. There was a traveling aspect which was a nice change, but it kind of felt like a checklist of different continents to go through, and it also felt quite rushed. I loved Andarna and Terran's dynamic. I think their banter was the driving force that helped me to finish this book, because by the end I was so tired of both Violet and Xaden. I just wanted to be done with it. Violet was frustrating as always, thankfully slightly less than in a previous book, and Xaden is just this big bro that suddenly has onyx eyes. We are reminded about it every 2 pages, and honestly he is one of my least favorite characters in the series now. Like, literally, rudely and angrily throwing out all his friends out of the room because he wants to have a spicy time with his girlfriend right then and there is just so sick, and I don't understand how people find that sexy. And I don't even remember if that was in this book or a previous one, probably both to be honest. Even these spicy scenes felt forced and they felt all the same, just like copy and paste, except they ruin different piece of furniture each time. The only romance I lived for in this book is, and that might be a spoiler, so skip few seconds ahead if you like, but the only relationship worth mentioning is Jessinia and Sawyer. They are so cute and lovely together, and him butchering the sign language every single time, but still trying so hard was so adorable. These little cute nuggets of story do not outweigh the frustration of reading these books, so I probably won't read more from this series or from the author. I will probably read some reviews of next book because honestly you can't escape that. And one of my friends will read it, so I will make her tell me this story. It might be less frustrating that way. One of the books I really enjoyed in March was the Tainted Cup. I started listening to it because I felt like I needed to read something different, and this kept appearing in many YouTube reviews, so I decided to give it a go, and it turned out to be absolutely different from what I have been expecting, and I am so glad it was. I went into this more or less blind and I had a good time right from the beginning, and before I knew it, it was the end of the book. Granted, this was only 14 hours long, so it felt quite short because I am used to listening to 30 plus hour long audiobooks, or even 60 because Sanderson, of course. The story starts with a young assistant to a detective who needs to investigate a very unusual scene of one person passing, and before you know it, the whole thing, the whole investigation, the story, it gets all so much bigger and mysterious, and I loved watching the highly intelligent detective putting these clues together. She was an interesting character that we don't really know much about, and I do hope we'll get to know more about her and about the whole world because damn, I got hooked. I am so glad the sequel is already out, and yes, I am already reading it. The last spread, yes, the whole spread is for A Deadly Education and its sequel, The Last Graduate. I finished the sequel a few days ago. It was already April, so it is not in my March statistics, except the number of pages I have read of it. but I figured reviewing both of these together would be nice. I inhaled both of these books one after another so quickly I could not believe it. I have been thinking about reading A Deadly Education or the Scholomance series for years. But at the same time, I was also deterred by some comments about this book, and you know what? I should stop listening to other people's opinions, or better said, I should stop other people's opinions make me not read something I am interested in, because I had a great time with this book. I could not put it down. I kept reading until the night, and I squeaked in a certain scene audibly. Thankfully, I was at home then. Simply, I enjoyed this book or books. That said, I also had a hard time with the writing style, and grumpy outcast main character is a choice, and countless tangents about history and world building were sometimes annoying, but the setting was great. It was a magic school. I love magic schools. This one, it seems, wants to kill you. Also, there are no teachers, but students are convinced to study and turn in their papers regardless, because it is their lives that are at stake. The second book kind of shifts the narrative, and the students are working towards a different goal, which was slightly less enjoyable for me, but there were some good plot twists, even when I predicted the ending pretty soon. There is one more book in the series, and I would be already reading it now, but I am taking part in a magical readathon, and I did not even imagine I would finish reading these two books so fast, so I did not include next book in my TBR. I could of course still do that, but I like books I picked as my April reads, so maybe, hopefully, I will get to it in May. And these were all books I finished in March. Now let's update my yearly pages and trackers. Since I finished 6 books, I need to color in 6 boxes. And there is already first row filled in. It is so nice to see. On the next page, there is a written list of all books with the method of reading, so either audio, digital, physical or mixed, and their rating. I guess I could skip the rating section in this spread next year. It feels kind of redundant to do it multiple times across all yearly pages, but for now it is here and I am filling it in. As it turns out, I read 2 books digitally and 4 as an audio in March. I seriously need to step up my physical book game. On the next page is the same, but with all book covers. I love seeing this getting filled in. Since I read nothing physically, I cannot check off any book from my shelf, but what I can do is check off few books from the series tracker. So I continued the Bobbyverse, the Ryeria Revelations, and the Empyrean series. Also, I need to add few more series in here. So we have the Scholomance, and I can check off 2 books at once here. And the next one is Shadow of the Leviathan series, and that gets 1 book read. Here we can add stars next to few books from my 25 in 2025 list. We are already 3 months in the year, so I should probably be further with this challenge, but if not all of these books get read by the end of the year, nothing happens. I will probably roll them into 2026 or reconsider if I really want to read them. In the Read the Rainbow page, I am putting the lessons in chemistry on the orange spot because I don't think there will be more orange book cover than this. And also Deadly Education for black. There will for sure be more black books, but why not fill it in right now? Let's mark days I finished my books. I love doing this, and so far it seems I am finishing my books mostly, not always, but mostly in the second half of the week, which is something I would never notice without this tracker. Now for the statistics. When I counted all pages together, including audiobooks, I have read more than 3000 pages or 105 pages a day in March, which is a lot. No 5-star yet, but we were mighty close this month. Yet my average rating was the lowest this year so far. On this page I am coloring in boxes based on the length of each book. Most of the books I have read in March were between 300 to 500 pages long, so we are coloring in these boxes. But we finally get the 800 to 899 pages box filled in, and it seems I am ignoring shorter books so far, as always. In the Hall of Fame I am writing down the Tainted Cup and Deadly Education. I don't know how many books will end up in here, so for now pencil must be enough, and at the end of the year I will figure out what to do with this page based on the amount of books put in there. A to Z challenge is getting more and more difficult to fill in. I am putting few books in a row because I did not like how empty these pages looked with only one entry. So I filled a few of those in, but I was able to fill in R with Rise of Empire for titles and D with Dennis E. Taylor for authors. 2025 reading in pixels is one of my favorite pages to do, but it takes a long time to fill in. I think I spent almost half an hour coloring this in yesterday. In here I track how many pages or minutes I read each day, and it would not be possible without Storygraph, where they will tell me how much I read after I log in my progress each day. Days I read most in March were Thursday 27th, where I read 74 pages physically. I can't read for long, my average is maybe 30 or so pages a day, so over 70 is really good. And I listened to 323 minutes of audiobook on Sunday 9th, which is a lot considering I can't really do sped up audiobooks. I also made a good progress in the reading bingo, and I was able to fill in 5 squares. I forgot to print some book covers, so I will put them in next time, as well as for the buzzword challenge. So in the meantime I am only writing down my choices with pen. For the technology on the cover I will add in for RyeMi because there is for sure some technology, even when I don't know what that is. Then we have Tainted Cup for the foliage, because what better book than that, and maybe Lessons in Chemistry for eyes on the cover, but I would like to maybe put here something different, since I would like to not use the same book twice. And with that I am done with my March reading journal wrap up, so let's do a quick flip through. I hope you had at least as a good reading month as I did. Let me know in the comments below your favorite read of March. Mine was, as you might have noticed, the Tainted Cup and the Deadly Education. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.